I feel like stretching today. What do you think? Hey everyone, Cristin Som here, and we are continuing with our We Whisk You a Merry Christmas quilt with our sponsor, Your Best Friend's Quilt Shop. So we already have all of row 1 and row 2 done, and many of us did the sashings and the patchwork row. This is the patchwork row. So that is just beautiful. And then yesterday we did one very simple block, super simple, for our Christmas cookies block. So I'm thinking that we stretch a little bit today after that really easy day yesterday. So as always, it's completely optional if you choose to do the stretch exercise with me or not. So this one, it's going to be a little different. It's really geared to all of those that are using Embellishment Essentials with me. So if you're not, that's totally fine. You can do it on your machine if you choose, or you can do them separately. It totally doesn't matter. But there's a lot of people that bought Embellishment Essentials just recently with their sale. And so I want to give you some stretch exercises to stretch out your abilities with Embellishment Essentials. So we're going to go over each of the blocks separately, but I'm going to do all 5 together. All right. That's going to be the big stretch, is we're going to learn how to get them all grouped in a interesting way, because they're not all exactly the same. So it'll be a fun stretch exercise, and it will definitely be a stretch. So I'm really curious to hear if you are going to do it. I want to hear how it turns out for you. And like I said, you can do absolutely each block separately. You can do 2-in-1 hooping if you want, or you can push yourself and do all 5. But of course, that depends on your hoop size too. And we'll talk about that when we get to the computer. So for now, let's just go over what we need for each of the blocks. And I'm going to do that part separately. All right, so we're going to start with Tree Cookie. So Tree Cookie is on page, let's see, what is it? Page 12 of our Whisk book. And there's a few things in it, not too much, all right? And so if you made your packets, grab your packet for the Tree Cookie. All right, and we'll go over that. All right, so starting with our main fabric. So our main fabric, if you have the original fabric kit, then, oh, there's a couple of substitutions in this one. All right, so if you have the original fabric kit from a few years ago, which I know was really hard to find, this one, I bought mine years ago. Several of us bought it years ago and then had it just sitting here waiting to do. So we're pretty excited to be getting it done. So it is this gray with Christmas wording fabric on it. All right, this is the main fabric. And then we're gonna start with this one at 6.5 by 6.5. Make sure to back it with fusible stabilizers to ward off puckering. All right, 6.5 by 6.5 for our main fabric. Like I said, this is the original fabric. If you have one from our sponsor did a couple of substitutions for us, and she did send me those substitutions so I could show you. So the substitute for this one would be this lined fabric. So just like how this is a directional fabric, so I want to point that out. This is directional. When you put it down on your hoop, make sure that you have it going the direction that you want so that you can read the words, all right? So this one also is a directional fabric, but you can choose whether you want your lines going horizontally or vertically. Either way will work totally fine. You get to choose. All right, so this is the substitute. Like I said, it's a gray and white awning fabric. I think that's what it's called. All right, 6.5 by 6.5, whether you're using the old original one or the new replacement substitute fabric. 6.5 by 6.5 for our main fabric. All right, and then we have our icing fabric, it's called, because these are all cookies. They're going to be cookie blocks. How fun is that? So for our icing, on this one, this is the original. So this is green with multicolored dots on it, and that's the original one. If you got our substitute from our sponsor, it is green with white dots on it. Either one will work perfectly fine. And we want this frosting to be 3.5 by 4, 3.5 by 4 for our Christmas tree frosting. All right, and then we have felt. So each of these are going to be on felts to give that cookie look, right? How fun, how fun. I used to make decorated cookies for my job. That was my business. So it's fun to make these now out of embroidery. How fun. So our felt for the Christmas tree, for the tree cookie, is going to be 4 by 4 for your felt. 4x4 for the felt. And I think it's probably that gingerbread felt. I think that's the color that it's called, but it doesn't actually say in the book. But this is going to be our cookie felt. Okay, so 4x4 for our cookie felt, 4x4. And then we're going to quilt this. So one thing I want to point out is on every block, I'm doing a different quilting design. You can do all 5 of them with the same quilting design, and that will be super easy, or you can mix it up. I definitely mixed it up. I wanted very specific ones for each of these. And so it's a little bit of a purchase. You have to buy each of these designs from Kimberbell, download them to your computer. It will enhance your quilting design library of the designs that you have available. But again, you can use one design for all of them, use something that you already have. Whatever works is totally fine. Those Hobby 1, Hobby 5 that we've been using, those would work great too. But I'm going to stretch on each of them. I picked something very special for each of mine. So on this, I'm using Christmas 3. It's called Christmas 3 is the quilting design. And we want whatever quilting design you use, you want it to be in 4x4 quilting. All right, 4x4 quilting. I'm using Christmas 3, and it's got Christmas trees on it. That's why I chose that one. So I think that will be super cute. So whenever we quilt, we always use our batting. So our batting today is going to be 5x5. I believe it's for each of the blocks. 5x5 for the batting. Okay. So that's all of the parts for this first one, which is the tree cookie. All right. And then we'll go over the next one. And I'm doing these in order of the book, but we're going to do it differently once we get to the computer. So the next one is the candy cane cookie. All right, candy cane cookie. And it is also on page 12 of our Whisk book, that candy cane cookie. So grab that packet if you made packets. I love these packets, don't you? They're so convenient. All right, keeping everything organized. I love organization. I'm like an organization freak. I've got a spot for everything. My husband is not. He likes everything on a surface. Every counter, everything. He loves to have stuff just everywhere, and I definitely do not. It's funny that we are very different in that way. All right, so candy cane cookie. So our main fabric for this one is going to be the white houndstooth. All right, so it's a tone-on-tone white houndstooth. Make sure to back this with fusible stabilizer. I didn't cut mine in on this one because it was already stabilized. I had it in my stash here, and so I just used that. But it is a good idea to cut your stabilizer a 1/2 inch smaller. So this main fabric is 6.5 by 6.5. You could cut your fusible stabilizer to 6 by 6 so that you can tell the front from the back very easily. And like I mentioned in yesterday's video, or you can use a black light. I put one in my Amazon storefront for you so that if you want to get one of those black light flashlights, they work really well. You just shine it on there and you can easily tell the front from the back. So I'll add a link here for my Amazon storefront. There's all kinds of things in there that I suggest that are super helpful for working on our projects together. All right, so our main fabric, 6.5 by 6.5. Make sure to back it with fusible stabilizer. And then for our frosting, it is going to be this red multi-dot. So I didn't get a substitute, so hopefully that means that she had enough for everybody from our sponsor, Your Best Friend's Quilt Shop. You may have received something different, but that's totally fine. Either way will work fine. So for this one, this is the red with multicolored dots on it. This is going to be 3x4. This is for the frosting of our candy cane cookie block. All right, 3x4. I do back my applique pieces with fusible stabilizer, but that's completely optional. It's also going to be on felt, so it's really probably not needed, but I like it to be crisp and easy to cut and to get no puckering. So 3x4 for the frosting on the candy cane cookie. And then we have our felt. On all of these, we've got our felt pieces. So the felt on this one is going to be 3.5 by 4.5. This is for the candy cane cookie block. 3.5 by 4.5 for the felt piece, okay? And just like before, our batting is going to be 5x5. 5x5 for our batting for this block, for the candy cane cookie block. say that a bunch of times fast. Candy cane cookie block. And then for the quilting, I chose Christmas too, and I didn't write little notes of what's on everything, but I'm sure that there's, I think it probably has peppermints and candy canes on it, if I recall. But Christmas 2, that is the quilting design that I'm going to use. Whatever quilting design that you want, make sure it's a 4x4 quilting design. All right, so I'm using Christmas 2 on this candy cane cookie block. All right, so 4x4 on your quilting. All right, and then the next one, let me just put this one away so I don't get them all mixed up. All right, and then the next one is going to be the bell cookie. So the bell cookie is on page 13 of our Whisk book, bell cookie. So this one has a few more pieces to it, and I want to point that out. And so I'm going to show you when we get to the computer, we're going to do a little bit of stretching to make all of this work. I think it's going to be really interesting. So the bell cookie, let's go over what we need for that. So on the bell cookie, oops, it's the same as that first one. The Christmas tree cookie block. We've got this gray with multi-words on it, Christmassy words or cookie baking words. Christmas calories don't count. I love that. Wouldn't that be great if that's true? Anyway, all right, so on our main fabric, it's going to be 6.5 by 6.5, backed with fusible stabilizer. And like I mentioned on the other one, you may have received that gray and white striped awning fabric, and that is fine too. Both of them are directional, so decide how you want your direction to be. This one, of course, the words, probably want to make sure and get that right. All right, so 6.5 by 6.5 for our main fabric. This is for the bell cookie block. All right, and then now this one has a couple of pieces to it. So the main fabric is the main icing. It's really supposed to be the icing. So the main one is this yellow with swirls on it. All right, I have a little dent in mine. But that's not going to matter. So yellow with scrolls on it. I do back mine with fusible stabilizer, but again, that's totally optional. This one for the bell frosting, it's going to be 4 by 3.5. We're going to start with it at 4 by 3.5. It's an applique piece, so we're going to put it down and cut around it. 4 by 3.5 for the frosting on the bell cookie. All right, and then we have frosting for the bow on the bell as well. And I've got this red with multi-dots on it. If you received from our sponsor, you would have gotten that, I don't remember, what was it? No, I said you probably have enough. I didn't receive a replacement for this one, so I think she may have had enough. But again, check what you received from our sponsor. It may be something different. But it's the red with multi-dot, and this one we're going to have at 3 by 3.5. 3 by 3.5. So that means it would go this way, but that doesn't actually make sense because the bow is wider. But we'll see when we get there. 3 by 3.5 for the frosting of the bow on the bell cookie. All right. And then our felt, just like the others, we have felt on each one to show it looking like a cookie. And this one on the bell cookie, the felt is 4 by 4.5. 4 by 4.5. So this way, sorry. 4 by 4.5 for the bell cookie felt. All right. And then we have our batting at 5 by 5, just like the others. 5 by 5 for our batting. And I'm going to use Christmas 6. There are bells on that one. I think that is so cute. That will be really fun. And it's funny, I chose all of these, and yet I don't know what color of thread I'm going to use to be able to try and make it stand out. So it may not even matter. Keep that in mind when you're purchasing the different quilting designs. So I think I would like it to stand out, though. I think that would be really cute. So Christmas 6 is the one that I will be using. Again, you can use any quilting design as long as it is a 4 by 4 quilting design. All right, Christmas 6 is the one I'm going to use on this bell cookie. All right, so that is all we need for the bell cookie. Like I said, there are 2 applique pieces on that one. The others, there were only 1. So, and on the gingerbread, we're not at the gingerbread yet. We're going to do the gingerbread next. So we'll talk about that. So the gingerbread cookie, grab your packet for the gingerbread cookie next. All right. This one also is on page 13. And this one doesn't have icing on it. This one is just the gingerbread cookie. So we just have the felt. And then we have some more stitching on that one for like the face of the gingerbread versus the others just have the icing around it. Okay, so that's where it will be a little different, and it will be a little bit interesting with our stretch exercise. So I've already figured it out though. I'll show you how to do it. It'll be really a good stretch, I promise. All right, so on the gingerbread cookie, we are going to start with our main fabric. It is this houndstooth fabric like we had on the candy cane cookie. So on this one, 6.5 by 6.5 for our main fabric. Make sure to back it with fusible stabilizer. You can't tell that I've got it stabilized, but I do. 6.5 by 6.5. This is that one that I was saying is good for that black light flashlight so that you can tell the front from the back easily. All right. So that when you're putting on that fusible stabilizer, I can tell pretty easily because there's a woven look to the back when you have the fusible stabilizer on, but you want to make sure to get that stabilizer onto the right side. And then when you're laying it down, you want to make sure as well. So 6.5 by 6.5 for our main fabric. This is for the gingerbread cookie. All right. And make sure it's stabilized. And then we have the felt. So the felt, that's all we have. We don't have any icing on our gingerbread cookie. This one is going to be 3.5 by 4.5. 3.5 by 4.5 for the felt of the gingerbread cookie. 3.5 by 4.5. And then we have our batting, which is 5 by 5, just like the others. 5 by 5 for our batting. And for this one, I'm going to use Christmas 1. Christmas 1. It's got, if I recall, it had gingerbread, of course, and then there were other Christmas items and kind of swirly around, and that will be a good one for this block. So Christmas 1 in a 4 by 4 quilting design. That's the one I'm going to use. Again, you can use any quilting design that you prefer. Just make sure it's a 4 by 4 design. All right, so that's the gingerbread cookie. Let me put that away, and we'll get the last one, which is the stocking cookie. So I want to mention that after we do all of these cookies, we are done with row 3, but there is that row 3B that has the another patchwork row, and I'm planning something fun for that, so I wouldn't do it ahead, but it's up to you, of course. Your quilt, your way, but I am planning something for that, so I just wanted to let you know ahead of time. All right, so stocking cookie, grab your packet for the stocking cookie. And let's see, I've got a substitution in here. Okay, I see. All right, so for the stocking cookie, we are going to have, oh, there's a few pieces in here and they're little, so don't lose them. So we've got that same one as a couple of the others. It's the gray with the words all over it. So if you have from the original kit, this is the one you want. It's 6.5 by 6.5, backed with fusible stabilizer. Or if you got the fabric kit from our sponsor, Your Best Friend's Quilt Shop, they made a gray and white awning as your main fabric for this one, and that'll be perfect too. And just make sure to remember it's a directional fabric, so decide if you want your lines going horizontal or vertical. All right, so 6.5 by 6.5 for the main fabric. This is for the stocking cookie. All right, and then we have our main part of the icing is going to be this red with the multicolored dots on it. This is the main part of the stocking for the icing, and it's going to be 3 by 3.5. I'm saying icing, but it's called frosting. It's funny because I use icing, like a glazed icing on my cookies that tastes really good versus the frosting that has meringue powder in it usually. I don't really like that as much. So I'm saying icing, but it's called frosting in the book. So for the stocking frosting, it is 3 by 3.5. I do back mine with fusible stabilizer, but that's totally optional. 3 by 3.5 for the first applique piece. All right, and then for the toe frosting, because there's a different part for the toe and the cuff of the stocking. So it has the green with multicolored dots on it from our sponsor. You probably received the green with white dots on it. Either one will be perfectly fine. So on this, it's just a little piece at 2 by 3. Wait, 2 by 2. Sorry about that. 2 by 2. 2 by 2 for the toe frosting, and I did back mine with fusible stabilizer. That's optional. 2 by 2 for the toe, and like I said, you may have received the green with white dots on it, and that's fine too. All right, and then for the cuff, this is the one that's 2 by 3 cuff for the frosting. So the one that I have from the original is white with multi dots on it. You may have received white with just white dots on it, and that works totally fine too. Either one, 2x3 for this cuff. Now you may choose to back this with fusible stabilizer. I would recommend it. It's going to be on that gray fabric. It's going to be next to that red. I would do it, but that's up to you. So for this cuff, you could even do, how fun would it be to do like a minky in that little bit? I'm not going to do it, but I think that would be super cute. Someone's got to do it. I want to see it. It'll make me smile. So the cuff part of the stocking in like a fun minky or even a felt or something, that would be really fun. So, or what's that? A fleece. Fleece would be good. Any of those, but I'm going to use the original. So cuff frosting 2x3, whatever fabric you use. Okay. And then we have our felt for the cookie. So the felt is going to be 3.5 by 4.5. This is for the stocking cookie. 3.5 by 4.5 for the felt. All right. And then we are going to quilt this. So our batting is going to be 5 by 5, just like the others. 5 by 5 for your batting. And then I am going to quilt this one with Christmas 8. Can you guess what's on there? Yep, you got it. Stockings. There's stockings on it. That will be really cute. So one thing to keep in mind is if you decide to do Christmas 8 with the stockings, it's directional. You can do it horizontal or vertical for your stockings. So just choose ahead of time. Make sure that you're getting it the right direction. So Christmas 8 is what I'm going to use in a 4x4. Again, you can use any quilting design as long as it is a 4x4 quilting design. And I'm going to use Christmas 8. All right. And that's all of them. It's a lot today. I know. Don't forget, you can do one a day. You can do 2-in-1 hooping. You can get all 5 done. You can do them separately. You can do them together. It's your quilt your way, your project your way. But I'm going to stretch us a little bit and try something new. I think that this will be really fun. I think it'll be really interesting to see how to make them all work because there's different elements. So it will be different. And I already tested it and it's pretty good. Hopefully I get it right and remember how I did it because there were a couple of different ways of doing it. And so anyway, I'm going to bring you over to the computer and I'm going to show you step by step. If you're new to Embrilliance, do not be afraid. I literally show you step by step and I say, now we're going to do this. Click on this. We're going to move this here. You don't have to worry. It's super easy to use, very user friendly, and I talk you through it step by step. So let's go ahead and get to the computer so we can get all of these in fewer hoopings depending on your hoop size. Hey everyone, so I'm at my computer now and I am going to show you how to merge some of the blocks together, all of the blocks together, depending on your hoop size and what works for you. So I'm going to open up Embrilliance Essentials. That is the embroidery software that I prefer. I really like how user-friendly it is. It's so easy to work with. I was really surprised because when I first started considering it, I was a little intimidated, but it's not scary at all. I'm just going to resize this a little so that you can see. All right, so when you first open up Embrilliance Essentials, my screen is light pink. I think it's yellow or white. I don't remember, but you can always change that in this preferences folder, but mine is light pink. So it says I'm on my 10 by 16 hoop. That is what I was practicing on. That's why it'll open up to the last hoop that you used. So I'm going to show you, a lot of people have the 9 by 14 hoop. So I'm going to show you that first. Now remember, if you have like a 5 by 7 hoop, you would do 1 per hooping. If you have a 6 by 10, you could do 2. I believe you could fit 2 in 1 hooping. An 8 by 12, I would still do 2. It would be too close to do, let me see, 4, 8. Yeah, I would still do 2. But a 9 by 14 hoop, I think you could probably fit them all in there. It may be too tight for me. I don't like it to be too tight. It stresses me out, but I'm going to show you just in case. So I'm on this preferences folder up here. I'm going to click on that and I'm going to go to my 9 by 14 hoop and say okay. And then I like to click on this compass button and click H so it zooms into the hoop so I can see all of it. All right, so and right down here at the bottom it says what hoop size you're on. So I'm going to start by bringing in the quilting designs. Now one thing I want to point out debating on whether I should tell you this or I think I won't. I think it'll be more of a stretch exercise if we fix something after versus just doing it correctly the first way. Does that make sense? So I'm going to bring them in just like how the book has. All right, so I'm going to start with the quilting design. Now keep in mind, as I mentioned, I'm doing a different quilting design on each block. And you can choose to do them all the same. You can choose whatever quilting designs you want, but I'm going to bring in the ones that I'm using and that I'm recommending. But any of them will work as long as you're using a 4x4 quilting design. All right, so you can go up here to this merge stitch file and easily navigate to the folder. In fact, I'll do that the first time just to show you. So merge stitch file. And then it's just asking, well, where is this folder? Where is this design that you want me to open? So I have mine in my D drive, embroidery files to organize, Whisk, and then quilting files. And the first one is Christmas 3, right there, Christmas 3. And let's see here. Looks like I have 2 folders for that. Embroidery files, block by block is the technique I'm using. And Pez is what I use for my machine. So I can bring it in this way and it's literally just asking you, well, where is this? And you're navigating to it. And then you double click on it when you find it and it goes to the center of the document. So all the rest of the times I'm going to show you the other way by just dragging it over. But you can do either way. So this merge stitch file and then just open up the file that you're looking for. So here's that 4x4 Christmas 3. That's the first one. So I'm going to go ahead and drag it over here and just see how close it will be. So I'm going to go ahead and change these colors like we always do so that when we do a color sort, they will join together. I'm going to start that right now rather than doing all 5 separately. So I'm going to click outside. Right now, all 5 parts are highlighted. So if I were to click on this one, see what happens. It thinks that you want to change the name of it. So you have to click outside so that nothing is selected. And when I say outside, like anywhere in the workspace or in this objects window, it doesn't matter. Just click somewhere other than on the design. And then we can click on just the first part that we want. So I'm on 1-1. I'm going to click on the color and I'm just going to quickly change the color. I'm going to choose the first color that comes up for me, which is dark aqua. I'm on Filtech Glidus, my preferred thread color. Yours may come up as a different thread option. It doesn't matter. You're just picking something easy to so that we can join them together. All right, so dark aqua, say okay. And then 1, 2, click on the color. First color that comes up for me is blaze, say okay. 1, 3, click on the color, and then we already used dark aqua. We can see it right there. So I want to use the next color down, which for me is marine, and say okay. Then 1, 4, click on the color, and we already used blaze. It's right there. So I want to use the next color down, which is Oriole for me, and say okay. And then on these, so a bunch of them are on that gray fabric, and then it looks like 3 are on the gray fabric and 2 are on the white fabric. So you could, it's totally up to you, you could have these join as well if you wanted. I'm thinking not. I would rather decide when I get there what color quilting I'm going to use, since they're, I might actually use the same thread on all 5 because 3 are on that light gray and 2 are on white, and I want the quilting to stand out a little bit. That's an option. I'm going to go ahead and not have these join, just so that for those of you that may want a different thread color on all of them, I'm going to show you how to do that, but I might actually make mine all the same. I'm not sure yet. So I'm going to click on 1, 5, click on the color, and I'm going to choose the first color that comes up for me, which is Sprout, and say okay. And if you wanted to do some gray and some white, you could just join them in a way that you've got the gray ones going, and then there's a stop, and then there's the white. That's easy to do too. Doesn't matter. All right, excuse me. So that's the first one. I clicked outside so that nothing's selected, because otherwise you're on here, and you want to make sure that you're not selecting anything when you bring in the next one. So click outside somewhere, and that one is done. So now we're going to bring in the second one. So on this one, I'm going to open up the folder just so I can show you that drag and drop feature. So I went down here. You can't see this part, but I'm on File Explorer to open a window. I'm going to go to Documents, Embroidery Files, Whisk, and then my quilt files are all in one folder. I'm going to shrink this down a little bit so you can see. And the next one is Christmas 2. That's the one I'm using, Christmas 2, for the stocking. We're going to do the stocking next. So stocking cookie. So I'm going to go to Embroidery Files, Block by Block, Pez, and you're just looking for a 4x4. So it will normally open up to the list view. So I'm going to click on that so you can see it. It will be like this, but because I purchased that thumbnailer from Embellishment Essentials, they have this thumbnailer program, and I haven't done a tutorial on it yet, but it's so cool. Look, so if I click on large icons, I can see all of these really easily. And it shows in the folder. It's a pretty cool program to be able to see at a glance all of your designs. And when you hover over it, it'll tell you what size it is, everything. So I'm going to look for the 4x4 right there. See, there's candy canes on it. How perfect is that? So I'm just going to click on this design and I'm just going to drag it over. Super easy. How fun was that? Super duper easy to do. I'm going to shrink that folder down so it's out of our way. Click on the stitching. You have to click on the stitching. If you click on where there isn't stitching, it'll just look like that, where it's going, well, I don't know what you're trying to do. All right, so make sure you're clicking on the stitching to be able to move that block. So I'm going to bring it over to this right-hand corner, and this is what I wanted to show you. There's very little space in between, and to me, that's just stressful. So I would rather do a little bit larger, or you could do 3. You could have like one here, one here, one here. A lot of people don't find this stressful, and you could definitely easily fit all 5 in one hooping, but to me, it's just very tight. So that's up to you. You decide that. I was thinking I would use my 10x10 hoop and get 4 and then do one separately, but I'm going to do all 5. I have a 10x16 hoop. So if your biggest hoop is a 9x14, like I said, you can do it all in one hooping. You can do a few of them and then do a second hooping. If your biggest hoop is an 8x12, you could do 2 and 2 and then 1, whatever works for you, but this will at least show you the technique on how to get it all set. So I'm going to go up here to this preferences folder, and I'm going to click on my bigger hoop. For those of us that have the biggest hoop, I have a a Brother Luminaire. The Baby Lux Solaris is the same machine. So if you're on either of those, you have a 10x16 hoop. The Epic, I don't remember what brand that is. They have a big hoop. I don't know what size. But anyway, so base it on your hoop size and how many you feel comfortable getting in one hooping. So I'm going to click on 10x16, say okay, and then I'm going to go back up to this compass button and click on H for hoop, and you can see I have more space now. So I'm going to just click on this Christmas tree quilting and move it over to the left-hand corner, and then same thing with this candy cane one. I'm just going to bring it over. I'm just using my mouse. You can use the arrow keys on your keyboard. Either one will work fine. All right, so this one has those defaults. So if we left this, that default one blue and the default one blue here, those are going to join together. And then you won't have the option of putting down your batting and then putting down your main fabric. It's all going to join together. So that's why we want to separate them and have it be colored in a way that the ones we want to join will join and the ones we don't want to join will not join. All right, so make sure to click outside of the design here because this is all highlighted, selected right now. So I'm going to click outside and I'm going to click on 2-1, and I want to use the same colors as here except for that quilting design. Now if you want to use the same color thread, you would use that same color of quilting right here, this 1-5. You would use on 2-5, 3-5, all of them. All right, so I think I'm gonna have them separate. I don't know, I feel like I can tell you that if you want them separate, to keep them separate. And I could have mine all together and have them be the same. Then it's less steps. So anyway, all right, so 2-1, click on the color, and then we want the same color we used up here. You can always see it right here. We want 1-1 and 2-1 to be the same. So I know I want dark aqua and say okay. Then 2, 2, click on the color, and I want blaze. You can see it right there. So blaze and okay. And then 2, 3, we want marine. So I'm going to click on the color and go to marine. And then 2, 4, we want Oriole. Click on the color, and there's Oriole. All right, and this is where I was saying. So on 2, 5, if you click on the color, if you want different thread colors, you would click on sea green. You would go down to the next one. If you want the thread colors to all be the same without a stop, then you would use sprout. All right, so you get to decide that. And like I said, you could have white. I don't know. I'm thinking like a dark gray for all of them because then they'd stand out. I guess I better make them separate. So I think it'd be easier for on the tutorial. The other thing you could do is you could have the darker gray, that sterling, I think it was called, for the 3 on the gray fabrics, and you on the white fabric, you could have that light gray, it's cool gray 3 as your thread color, so that either one, they're going to stand out a little bit. I'm thinking I want to do that. Or just sterling on all of them would be good too. So I'm going to go ahead and change the thread color. I'm going to choose sea green and say, okay, that way I have a stop so I can decide what thread color that I want. I'm pretty sure that I want them all the same, but I think for the purpose of the tutorial, it would be easier to show it with the stop so that those that want that stop have that option. All right, so that one's done. Click outside so nothing is selected. I'm going to go ahead and close this number 1 design right here with this little minus sign. And then I'm going to bring in the next one. So we have the Christmas tree quilting and the stocking quilting. So now we're on page 13 and we're going to do the bell cookie. All right. So the bell cookie, keep in mind, we're only doing the quilting right now. So I'm going to, and you want to do all of the quilting designs first so that they will join in the way that we want them to join. All right. So I'm going to open up that folder that I had open. I'm going to go back and back and back and back and back. And I am going to bring in the next quilting, which for me is Christmas 6. I'm going to double click on Christmas 6 and embroidery files, block by block. Pez is what I use for my machine, and I'm looking for the 4x4 right there. So whenever you drag it over, it'll always go to the center, which will be interesting in a minute when we have something in our center, but I'll show you how to work that, not a problem. All right, so see the bells, isn't that so cute? Now keep in mind that much of this design is going to be covered by that bell cookie. So you could do like a plaid that is going to go all the way across, whatever you decide to do, but I wanted to do this bell. Now I'm thinking, and I would have to do this before I align the block. I'm thinking I might want to flip this. So keep in mind when you look at the block, you can see like some of the Christmas tree will show. Same with the candy cane. We should have some showing of the candy cane. That bell, I think, looks like it's going to be mostly blocked from the bell cookie design, but I'm going to go ahead and rotate it right now. And that's totally optional. You can leave this as is, but I'm going to take this and I'm going to rotate it to the left because I'm thinking that then I might be able to see a little bit of that bell, and I'll definitely see these 2 bells over here. So I rotated it to the left. That's totally optional. I'm just thinking that I'll be able to see more of the design that way by doing that. All right, so now click outside so that, because right now all 5 of these are selected, I'm going to click outside either on the workspace or in the objects window, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to go through those colors the same as we did before. So I'm going to click on 3-1, click on the color, and I want dark aqua. You can always see it right here. And say okay. Then 3-2, click on the color, I want blaze, say okay. 3-3, click on the color, I want marine, say okay. 3-4, click on the color, I want Oriole, say okay. And 3-5, click on the color, and I'm going to use the 3rd color down since I am changing my thread colors, and I probably won't, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to just leave it as an option. So I'm going to choose the 3rd color down because we used sprout for the first one and sea green for the second one. You can see it right there. So I'm going to use the 3rd color down, which for me is mint, and say okay. All right, click outside. so that it deselects that design. I'm going to go up here and close number 2. And then I'm going to bring in the next one. So the next one is our gingerbread cookie. I'm going to open up that folder again and go back a few times to that folder. And I want Christmas 1 right there. And embroidery files, block by block, Pez, and I want that 4x4. Look at how cute that is. The 2x2 is awfully cute. So here's the 4x4. Double click on that. Oops, sorry. Don't double click on it. My mistake. Click here so it goes away. Drag it. There we go. All right. So now keep in mind when you drag it, it goes to the center, and we've already got that bell design there. So be very careful when you do this, because if you just click on one part, you may get the one on the bottom. You may get a part of it. So if you click over here, then you've got the whole design. So I'm on number 4. I've got the whole design. I can click anywhere in the stitching to be able to move it. All right, so that's how to move it easily. You could obviously move this one out of the way while you're doing the next 2, but it's a good idea to know how to move it around easily. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open up number 4, and I want to change these colors just like we've been doing on the others. So I'm going to click on 4-1, click on the color, and I'm going to change it to dark aqua. 4-2, click on the color, I want blaze. 4-3, click on the color, I want marine. 4-4, click on the color, I want Oriole. And then 4-5, click on the color, I want the 4th color down because we're on the 4th design. 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm choosing Magic Mint. All right, and that one is done. Click outside so that this last one is not selected anymore. All right, and I'm going to scroll up here and close number 3. And now I'm going to open up that folder again to bring in the next one. Actually, before I do that, I want to look at here. That looks pretty good. I should be able to see some of the gingerbread on there. That's perfect. All right, and then I'm going to go back. And now for the last one, the stocking cookie, I want Christmas 8. Christmas. Oh, and by the way, if you choose Christmas 8, it is in our Cup of Cheer quilting bundle. You can always buy it separately on the Kimberbell website. But if you did Cup of Cheer, you already own it. All right. You already own that stocking design if you did the quilting bundle from Cup of Cheer. So that's where you can find it. So Cup of Cheer, Christmas 8. Embroidery files, Pez, and I want the 4x4. Now this is what I was telling you. The 4x4, all of them, they come in either horizontal or vertical. So make sure to choose the one that you want. I want the horizontal, and I'm going to close that folder. Actually, I'm going to shrink it down. All right, so again, it went right on top of that bell quilting design. So I'm going to click on number 5 here to be able to make sure I've got that design, all parts of that design, and I'm just going to click on the stitching and move it down here to this right-hand corner. All right. And again, I'm going to go through here. I'm going to hit that plus sign to open it up. Click outside so nothing is selected and go to 5-1 and change the color to dark aqua. 5-2, change the color to blaze. 5-3, change the color to marine. 5-4, change the color to Oriole. And 5-5, change the color to the 5th one down, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is for me is cloud. All right, click outside. Now those 5 are done for the quilting. All right. Now we need to bring in the actual design. So this is where it'll get a little interesting, and I'm going to show you without, like, I already know what's going to happen, but I want you to be able to learn from this too. So I'm going to show you something. So one thing I want to point out while we're here, notice all of these are designs that are just within that design, but this one, the stockings, it goes into the stitching. I just want to point that out. It doesn't matter, but like plaid, lines, there's several that go into the stitching, and it'll make it so that it's doing quilting on the entire design. All right. Anyway, so on the stocking, we should be able to see some of the stocking. We've got them all. The only one we had to rotate, and you don't have to, but that bells, I think we'll see more of it with it rotated that way. All right, so I'm going to close all of these up just so that I have more space here. And I'm going to bring in the first embroidery design. So I'm going to open up that folder and go back to where I'm keeping all of my stuff. embroidery files, Pez quilt. All right, and here's the design. So I'm looking for the tree. There's the cookie designs right there. The tree is further down right there. So I'm going to not double click. That's my instinct, is to double click, but you want to drag it. All right, and it's going to go to the center. So what we want to do is we want to click on that tree cookie. It's design number 6, and we're going to move it. Actually, don't move it. I want to show you something. This will be a good way, another learning thing. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to click on number 1, that's the quilting design, and then I'm going to click the control button. Make sure it's the control button. If you hit the shift button by mistake, I'll show you what happens. I'm going to hold down shift. That's not what you're going to do, but I'm just going to show you so you see what happens. Then it's selecting all of them. All right, so I'm going to deselect so that I don't have that. Now I have quilting design number 1 and the control button on your keyboard, and hold it down while you also click design number 6, which is the tree. And then I'm going to go to utility, align and distribute. And since we're doing it from 2 different points, it's going to move that whole quilting design, but that's not a big deal. We can move it back. I just wanted to show you, because sometimes it can be hard to move things that are on another design. Like right now it's in the middle of our quilting design, in the middle of our hoop. And so it's just easy to align and distribute while we have it here. All right, so I'm going to click center, center, apply, and see it centered it within that quilting design, but it also moved our quilting design, which is not a big deal. I'm going to say close. And then one thing I'm going to do here, while I have these 2 selected, I'm going to go up here to, was it utility? I think it was edit, and I'm going to say group. So I'm grouping number 1 and number 6 so that if we have to move them around later, they're already joined, and then we don't have to realign them or do any of that. So these are grouped. So look how now I can just click anywhere and just move it around. Okay. So, and one of our viewers taught me that. I had never done that. So that was pretty cool to share that little piece of information. And now I just moved the wrong one. I'm going to click undo. I want to move the tree. There we go. I'm going to move that tree back up to that spot where it was before. Make sure that it's not over the hoop at all. All right, that's really important, because you can get all of this all done and send it to your machine, and then your machine will go, change to a larger hoop. It doesn't fit because you went over that hoop line. These yellow lines are our hoop line. All right, so 1 and 6 are now joined together. Now, actually, can I still change these colors? I think I can. Let's try. Yeah, good. Phew. That would have been a problem if we had done it. All right, so what I want to do here, let's see. Do I want to do it now? I think I'll wait. I'm going to bring all the 5 designs in first on this one before I change the colors. Okay, so to be able to get them to join, and I'll show you why. All right, so that's number 1. This one's all done and ready. So number 2, on this candy cane design, we want to bring in the candy cane cookie design. So I'm opening up my folder that I've got my designs, and there's my candy cane. I'm going to drag it over again. It's going to go right to that center design. And I am going to click on number 2. That's the quilting design for the candy cane. Hold down that control button while I click on number 7, which is the candy cane embroidery design. And I'm going to say utility, align and distribute, so that it will be centered just right in that quilting design. So I don't have to sit there and try and figure out where the center is. I can say center, center, apply, and close. And you can see it is now centered perfectly within that block. It did move the whole block. So I'm going to go, and before I move it back, I'm going to join them so I don't have to worry about that. I'm going to go to edit and group, just those 2 designs that are already selected. All right, if you unclicked or anything like that, you would just click on 2 and 7 again before you group it. And then click anywhere on the stitching to be able to move that back up to the corner. All right, done, easy peasy. Now we need to bring in the 3rd design. I'm going to go back to my folder, and the 3rd one is the bell cookie. So I'm going to click on the bell and drag it over, and that one is already centered. That was easy. So I am going to, I don't need to align and distribute it, but I am going to group it. So I'm going to go to edit. Oh, actually I have to have it selected first. Sorry, my mistake. 3. So click on number 3 and then click the control button and click on number 8 because you want to tell it what you want to group. So 3 and 8, it's already aligned because both designs went to the center. So I'm just going to go to edit group. Okay, click outside so nothing is selected. And we want to bring in the next design, which is the gingerbread. Go back to my folder. And again, you can always go to this merge stitch file if you prefer that. Either one works fine. All right, and it goes to that center again. So I want to make sure to click on, I'm going to go ahead and align it while it's like that. So I'm going to click on number 4 quilting right there, and then click on the control button and click on number 9, the gingerbread design, and I'm going to say utility, align and distribute, and I'm going to say center, center, and apply. All right, and then close it, and then I'm going to group it while it's there, edit group, because they're both already selected, number 4 and number 9, and then I can click anywhere on the stitching and move it back to where it belongs. All right, and then let's bring in the last one, open up the folder, and the last one is that stocking. I think it's down here, there it is. Drag it over to the workspace. And I'm going to go ahead and close this folder. I'm done with it. And I'm going to click on number 5, the quilting design, click on the control button and click on number 10 design. And I'm going to say utility, align and distribute, center, center, apply, and close. And while it's there, I'm going to click edit group. And I'm going to bring it back down here to the right-hand corner. Okay. So now we have all 5 of our designs. If we were to be done at this point, they're not joined. So these are joined. We haven't done a color sort, but they're joined to be able to do a color sort. These are not. So we need to work on that. So here's what I want to point out. If we were to get all of our colors right and do a color sort right now, it's not going to be as functional because this one doesn't have icing. These 2 have icing only. These 2 have extra pieces. So if we were to align them in a way that will utilize all of those steps, it will be faster for us and easier on Embrilliance too, I think. So right now we have 58 color steps. So I'm going to go, let's see, let me think for a second here. I want to change the coloring to be able to have them join, but I want to do it in a way that is the most productive. So what I'm thinking, I am going to take this tree and the quilting. See, I only have to click on it once because those are joined. I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it down here, and I'm going to bring the gingerbread up because the gingerbread is the quickest, easiest design. And sorry, I'm getting messages, so I'm checking them. I'm going to bring this one to the top, all right? Now, all that does is move it around on the hoop. We still have to move it around in here, so we have to keep that in mind. But first, I'm going to get them how I want them. So I think I'm going to move this bell down. The bell and the stocking both have extra applique pieces, so those will be more difficult. And they aren't difficult, but they have more steps. So I'm going to click on the stocking. I'm going to bring the stocking to the center, and to be able to center it, and it really doesn't matter, but to do it, you can just use these black squares on the end to make sure that it's centered. All right. And then this one we can bring back up here. So then the reason of doing that, this one is the simplest. There's just one applique piece. It's the felt. They all have the felt. These 2 have the one frosting piece, and then these 2 have more. So having it this way, I think will just make it a little bit easier on us from taking the hoop in and off of our machine and cutting and all of that. So just the simplest to the most difficult is how I'm ordering them. All right, I'm going to close up all these folders or designs. They're not really folders. Okay, now keep in mind that all I did was move them around on the hoop. So I need to move the order of them as well. So if let's see, how do I see, what do I have? I want the first gingerbread design. I want them in the order that I have them on the hoop. So if I moved them around on the hoop, it gives me a visual of how they should be. So this one, when I click on the first design, you can see that it is really what we want to be our second design. So I want this first one, which I think was Christmas 1. It's number 4. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on design 4, which is just that gingerbread design. And I'm going to right click on it and say move first. All right. That's going to bring that design up to the very first. It'll be the first one that is going to stitch. All right. And then the next one is the tree. So that one's perfect. And then the stocking, and then the bell, and then the, did I say stocking? Candy cane, then bell, then stocking. So those are actually all done. Those are the right order that I'd like them to be in. Now I need to do the embroidery design as well. So I know I want the gingerbread first. So here's the gingerbread. It's number 9. I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to say move earlier. And then I'm going to say move earlier again, right click, move earlier. You can also take it and drag it, but it's hard to get it just right. So I find that right clicking and telling it where to go is easier, but either way will work. All right, so then we have our gingerbread, our tree, our candy cane, our bell, and then our stocking. Perfect. All right, so now they're in the order that I want them to be. Don't forget, we still have to redo these colors. We didn't redo the colors. We did the colors for the quilting, but not on the embroidery design. So I'm going to start with number 6, the gingerbread, and I'm going to click on 6-1, choose the color, and we already used maroon. We have to remember that we already used that. So I'm going to use, we used it in our quilting, by the way. So I'm going to use the first next color, which is Hawaiian blue for me, whatever your next color is. All right, and say okay. That's for that felt piece. All right, and then 6-2, click on the color, and Halloween. We haven't used that, so I'm going to say okay. All right, because we want the felt piece to join on all 5 of these, so we're doing it one time. How easy will that be? We're just going to tell it to do it, take it out, cut them all. It'll be so much easier. All right, so I'm going to do that 6-2. Now on this gingerbread, this is the only one. All the others, let me deselect. So all these others, it's just white. You can choose to have this, the cuff is separate. You can choose to have, but if you look at the picture, it's white on all of everything is white for the stitching, except for the gingerbread. It has the face. So I'm going to go ahead and just do those right now. All right. So I'm going to click, I'm going to keep it as it is right now. So I have the 2 applique pieces, the placement and the tack down of the felt, and then it jumps right to the gingerbread boy and the coloring. So let me think, if I did the white, that's going to be white too. I can save a step actually. I'll save that piece for later. Let me think. I know, I can change the color now and then just change the order later. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna change this. So I'm gonna click on the color and I'm gonna choose white. So I'm gonna type in here white. All right, and I'm gonna choose this super white and say okay. All right, so I changed that color. You saw how to do that. Now we have the black eyes, and this color, it's giving you a stop in case you want to change to a different color for the mouth, but it's black. It's the same as the eyes. And then there's red. So I'm going to change this to black. I'm going to change both of these. So 6-4, I'm going to click on the color and I'm going to type in black. And I'm going to just because then it's going to save steps and not stopping the machine and what's going to join and all that. I'm going to change mine up a bit, even though it will change on the tutorial because people have the option of changing the eye color from that little smile, but I want them both to be black. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, so I'm going to click on the color I'm on 6-5 now, the mouth. And there's 2 ways of doing it. You can type in here black like we did before, or you can click on the palettes tab and that will show you the colors that are already in here. All right, and then you can find that black. Fill Tech Glide, yep, right there, say okay. All right, so either way, you can type in black or you can go to the palettes. All right, and then I'm just gonna change this red just because I'm changing all the other ones, I might as well. I'm gonna go back to threads though, make sure that you're not on palettes because then it'll choose a color that's already in there and you want this to be separate so it's not joining. I'm gonna say okay. All right, so gingerbread is done. I'm gonna close this one up and I'm gonna start on number 7, which is the tree. All right, so I should open it so you can see the colors actually, so we can remember. All right, so I'm on number 7. I'm going to click on 7-1, click on the color, and I want it to be the same as this felt tack down up here. All right, so it's important that we choose the same color. So I want Hawaiian blue. And then 7-2, click on the color. And I want the same as up here, which is Hawaii, Halloween, sorry. I seem to be, oh, because this one was Hawaiian. I'm like, am I thinking about Hawaii? It's because of Hawaiian blue up there. All right, so now we have the frosting. And remember, the gingerbread didn't have a frosting, so we're starting fresh on that. So on this one, I'm going to click on 7-3, click on the color, and we already used marine, we already used Hawaiian blue, so I'm going to use mercury. It doesn't matter what color. In fact, if mercury throws you off, if you're thinking it's white, you could use the next color down, which is tropical. It's not going to matter as long as it's the same as the others. All right. So I think I'll use tropical just so, because I think that mercury is close to that white, and I don't want to think that we're on the icing color. So I'm going to say tropical and say okay. All right, that was for 7-3. Now 7-4, click on the color. We already used Halloween. Did we use butterscotch? I don't think we've used butterscotch. I'm going to say butterscotch and say okay. I'm going to check up here to make sure. Nope. Okay. And then 7-5. Now I'm going to change this just so that I'm on all the same. I'm going to change this to super white and say okay. Now I'm curious if it'll do this white. Well, we may have to reorder that, but we'll see. All right, that's done. That's for the Christmas tree. That one is all done. I'm going to go scroll up and close number 6. And now we want to open up number 8 and do that same thing. All right, so right here, this is that felt tack down. I'm going to click on Hawaiian blue. I believe it's Hawaiian blue. I'll check it. Right there, Hawaiian blue for 7-1 and 8-1. We want those to join, so we want the same color. All right, then 8-2, click on the color. We used Halloween for 7-2, so I'm going to use for 8-2 Halloween. And then 8-3, we used tropical for 7-3, so we want that same color. So I'm going to scroll down here to tropical and say okay. And then 8-4. Right here we used butterscotch for 7-4. I'm going to click on the color and use butterscotch. All right, and then this gray, I don't know why it says gray because it's white. I'm going to use white. I'm going to click on the color. Now again, you can search and type white, or you can use the palettes. Either way, I'm going to use super white like I did on the other one. We just want it to be the same so it will join. All right, I'm going to close up number 7, and now we're going to work on number 9. Now this one has an extra applique piece, so we have to keep that in mind, but for the most part, we want them to be the same. So 8-1, we used Hawaiian blue, so 9-1, I'm gonna sneeze, sorry, 9-1, I'm gonna click on the color, and I want Hawaiian blue, and say okay. 9-2, click on the color, and we used Halloween for 8-2, so for 9-2, I want Halloween. Okay, and then 9-3. Let's see here. This is that that first frosting color, so that we can have the first frosting color be the same as these two, and we can put them all down at one time, saving time. So on, let's see, 9-3, 8-3, we use tropical. So I'm going to click on the color and choose tropical. All right, and then 9-4, 8-4, we used butterscotch. So 9-4, I want butterscotch. And then here's that extra. So this is for the bow on the bell. So we're going to start with something completely different on this one. So our last one before was tropical. So I'm going to go to robin egg, the next one down, and say okay. And then 9-6, click on the color. We already used butterscotch. So we want the next color down, which for me is bronze, and say okay. All right, and then here for 9-7, it's gray. I'm going to click on the color. I'm going to choose white because I want these all to do white at the same time. Remember, if you want different colors, you would just change that thread color name. But they're all going to be white. That's what it shows on the picture. That's what I'm going to do. All right, so that one is done. I'm going to close up 8. And now we're on number 10, the last one here. I'm going to click on that first one. I'm going to click down here so I can see what I used in case you don't remember. All right, so on 10-1, click on the color. I want the same as 9-1, which was Hawaiian blue. Say okay. And then 9-2, or 10-2, sorry, 10-2, we want the same as 9-2, which was Halloween. And then 10-3, 9-3 was tropical. Click on the color and get tropical. And then 10-4, we want butterscotch right there. And then for the next, so I'm going to do the same as the bow, because it'll, as soon as I put down the bow, I would also put down the toe of the stocking. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same as that. You can do it different. So you can do just the bow and then do the stocking part separately. That would be completely fine. It would definitely lessen confusion. So if you wanted to use a completely different color, it will not join. That would be absolutely fine. All right, I'm going to do them together. So let's see, 10-5 was robin egg. I'm going to do robin egg and say okay. And then what did we use? Bronze for 9-6. For 10-6, I'm going to use bronze and say okay. And then I've got another applique piece. So this is the one I was saying you could do a cuff. It is a cuff. You could do minky, or you can do the piece of fabric that comes in the kit. Either way. All right, so this is a whole different one. So we have to remember, so we used robin egg as our last one. So I'm going to go click here and let's see, I'm going to use fog. All right, oops, I scrolled down a little too far. There, fog is what I'm using. And say okay. And then for 10-8, click on the color. We used bronze last time, so I'm going to use biscotti and say okay. And then the last one, oh, not last, sorry. Oh, this is the white. So this, I want to point this out. I'm going to do this a little differently, which will be weird for the tutorial, but on here, it has the stocking as one color, and then it has the cuff as a different color, but they are both shown in white, and I want to do them both in white. So I'm going to make them both white, but you do have the option of doing your cuff in a different color if you prefer. So this is my choice. I'm going to choose white on both of them, like it shows in the book. So I'm going to do super white, say okay, and I'm going to do that for 10-10 also. So click on the color, choose the color you want. I want white, just like the others, because then all of those will join and saving on time. All right, so that's it. Those are done and ready to be color sorted, but take a minute and just check and make sure that it's how you want it. Because I'm actually still thinking, gee, I want these thread colors all to join. I mean, we're going to like jam through this thing. If they're all doing the same thing, it would be pretty cool. But you have to be sure. All right, so we have the gingerbread, which is on white, and then we have the Christmas tree, which is on gray, and then we have the candy cane, which is on white. So you could put the two whites together. You could easily switch the spot of the Christmas tree and the candy cane, and then it's got the two white blocks. You know I'm going to do that. I have to do that because I'm thinking light gray for those two and then darker gray for the others. But you could also do colored. There's so many things you could do. And that's why I was saying that you should have the thread colors be separate so that you can decide when you get there. Because you may get there and decide, gee, I want a red background for my candy cane and a yellow thread color for the back of my bell. And I mean, you could have them all be different. And I don't want to make it too confusing on the tutorial. So I really should do them all separately. But so in the order they're going to be, it's going to be gray, white, gray, white, gray. I'm going to do it. Sorry, I'm going to do it. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I am going to move this Christmas tree. I'm going to click on the Christmas tree, move it down here. I'm going to move the stocking up here. And don't forget, I still have to move them in the order too. Well, that already went to the center. That's nice. All right. So then I have the white background, gray background, gray background, gray background, and I only need one stop if I were to do these two in a light gray and these three in a darker gray. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to make it a little bit confusing. So I'm closing up those design files. Now keep in mind that these are just moved on the hoop, so I still have to move the order to be able to do that color sort. All right, so I am going to, and I have to change that last thread color. So I'm going to go to, let's see, which one was the stocking? There. All right, so this one I want to, this is number 3. I'm going to right click on it and say move earlier so that now it's the second design, just like it shows. All right, and then that 3 is already there. But on these, we have the gingerbread, and then it's going to jump down to that tree and then the candy cane. I want the candy cane first. So I'm going to right click on number 8 and say move earlier. All right, so then I have them all in the right order, and you can always click on them just to check and make sure that they're actually going in the order that it shows so that it's less confusing. There we go. All right, so these are both the white backgrounds. That will make it really easy. So again, if you decide you want some of your threads to join, that would be really easy, and it's going to make less steps. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to open up number 1. And let's see, I have Magic Mint for my quilting. So I want, let's see, I'm going to use Sprout. I am going to, I'm going to click on 1-5, click on the color, and I'm going to scroll up to Sprout. That's that first one, and say okay. And then close that one. Number 2 on number 2-5, click on the color. If you want these two to join, then you would do Sprout again. Oops, where'd it go? Right there, Sprout. All right, so then I have the same, these two are gonna stitch together, okay? Does that make sense? After we do a color sort. Then number 3, if you wanted all of them to be the same color, you could change all of these to be Sprout, but I wanna stop. I'm thinking I'm gonna do a light gray, and then darker gray on the last 3. So I'm going to choose the next color down from Sprout. So I'm on 3-5, click on the color, and instead of Sprout, I'm going to choose Sea Green and say okay. All right, and then number 4, I'm just opening up that design, go to 4-5, click on the color, and what did we use? Mint, I believe we used, sea green. We used sea green. Sorry about that. All right, so I'm going to choose sea green and say, okay, that's for 4-5. I'm just going to check 3-5 and make sure, yep, sea green. All right, and then close that. And then number 5, this last one, click on 5-5, click on the color, and I'm going to choose sea green right there. All right, so then these are going to join. So I'm clicking outside so nothing is selected. So these two are the same thread color. So those will join, and then these 3 are different thread colors, the same, but just these 3. So those will join as well. Now, keep in mind, I changed the white, the parts that were gray, I changed to white so that those will join. But we're going to have to check the order. The order may be different because of the fact that there's different steps in these. So we're going to have to just check it and be absolutely sure. So right now we have 58 color steps. They're all aligned. They're all where I want them. They're not over the hoop. Everything's good. So I'm going to go to Utility Color Sort, and it will open another tab. All right, make sure that you have the same settings that I have. All right, none of these are selected, and tolerance is at 0. It says it changed it by 36 color changes, so we're gonna have to really check it and make sure that it's accurate. And I'm gonna say new view, all right, with the new tab. All right, and it opens up the new tab. Here's the original one. In case anything doesn't go the way we wanted it, we have this one to fall back on. So we are on Untitled 2. I'm going to open this up, and I'm just going to run through these and check it. All right, so there is our placement for our batting all together batting tack down, all together placement of the main fabric, and the tack down of the main fabric all together. And then there's our first 2 quilting designs that are going to be in one color, and then it stops and lets me do the next 3 in a different color. So that's exactly how I wanted mine to be. All right, and then it's going to do the placement for the felt on all 5 blocks and the tack down of the felt on all 5 blocks. And then it's going to run the white part of my gingerbread. So I think I'm going to move that, but I'll show you in a minute here. So we're going to have the eyes and the mouth, because remember I wanted mine joined. So the eyes and the mouth are going to join together in black, and then it's going to do the hearts, and then it's going to do the frosting pieces. So it's got the frosting on the 4 pieces. So this one, all these 4 that has the main part. All right, and then the tack down of those, that's perfect. And then we have it stitching the white on the first 2. Now, if I move this super white down here, it will do these 3 all together, and I'm not changing my thread color. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to, let's see if, I'm going to do it first. I'm going to bring it down here. So I can right click on it and move it down, or I'm going to try and do it this way. It's kind of hard. Let's see. Where was it? I'm going to check it. It's all right. All right, so I moved it down. Let's just see where it landed. So we've got that. Good. That's the placement. The tack down. And then we have the white. Okay, so super white. Those we can do a color sort again, and those will join. So that's perfect. All right, and then it's going to jump to this is the placement for the bow and that toe for the applique pieces for those 2. Those are joined perfectly. And then the tack down of those. And then it's got that white again. So I know what we could do. We can move those other whites down. I'm going to do that, and then it'll do all the white together. This is like the biggest stretch ever. All right, and then we have the last placement and tack down, and then that white. All right, so I'm going to bring those other whites all down so that they can do them all together. The easiest way to do it is you can right click on it and bring it down. You just want everything that says super white, you want them to be together so it can do them all at once, and you're not changing your thread color over and over again. All right, so there's 2 of them. Let's see. I thought this was one. Nope. It is that one, and those 2, that's why. All right, so I clicked on the right and dragged over to get these 2, and then don't forget you can say move later, move later, move later, move later, or you can just drag it down. Either way works. All right, so then let's see. We've got it doing all of the applique pieces. Yep, and then it's going to do that, the white on the gingerbread, the white on those 2, the white on the bell, and white on the stocking. All right, so this is great. So right now we have 20 color steps instead of 58, and I'm not sure if it will change the number, but it'll change it where it'll all join again. So I'm going to do another utility color sort. We're at 20 color steps, and it says the design page has been sorted but not reduced. So it's still 20 steps. I'm going to click new view, and I'm just going to quickly look through these, and look at their 17 steps. It did change the number. All right, so placement of the batting, tack down of the batting, placement of the main fabric, tack down of the main fabric, and then the 2 quilting designs that I want in the same color, and then the 3 quilting designs in the next color. And then we have placement for the felt, tack down of the felt, and then it's going to run the face on the gingerbread boy and the cheeks, and then it's going to do placement for the frosting piece, the applique piece on all 4 of those, the main part. All right, and then the tack down, and then the placement for the bell, the bow of the bell applique, and the toe of the stocking applique, and then the tack down of both of those, placement and tack down of the cuff, and then all of the white all together. How easy. That's super cool. I'm quite amused. So instead of 58 color steps, we have 17. I'm quite amused with that. This was extensive. Don't forget, you can do each one separately. You can join just the quilting designs and then have each of the blocks run separately. This is a huge stretch. This is like, let's try this. Let's move these around. This was a lot. So either way, whatever works for you. I think it's pretty cool though. I'm loving it. So I'm going to do File, Save Stitch File As. And then I gotta tell it where to save it. Let's see. D, documents, embroidery files, Whisk, embroidery files, Pez quilt. Okay, and I'm gonna say 10 by 16 cookies times 5. All right, I have all 5 of the cookie blocks. Save, and I'm going to say utility send to Solaris, and file sent to machine. So if you don't have that option, you would just save it to a USB stick. I have a different quick, easy tutorial on how to save to a USB stick if you're not used to doing that. So that was pretty cool. I'm quite amused that we got all of that done. So this is going to look really cool. Plus, when you see this, you can see how much of the quilting you're going to see behind that design. So very fun, ready to stitch it out. I can't wait to see yours and hear how it went. And my shirt today, I think I already wore it during this project. I try not to wear the same one, but it's cold today, and this is my warmest zip-up shirt, so I'm wearing this one. So the front of it says "Stronger Than Cancer" with a bunch of rhinestones on it, and I think the design was from embroiderydesigns.com. I will add a link underneath this video, but it's stitched very well. I like it a lot. And the back, oh, the back was fun. I just remembered what's on the back. The back, it says, Jesus has my back. And if you look on like Facebook or Christian stuff, it has where you can buy a shirt that says that. And so I made my own, and it was really fun. I bought a design with a cross in it, and then I used Embrilliance to put Jesus has my back in the font that I was using, and it just was really fun. I really enjoyed doing that myself. It's really fun when you see a design on a shirt somewhere that they're selling and you're like, hey, I can do that. I know how to use Embrilliance. So that was really fun. So I'll include a photo of the back of what is on there. I think I added rhinestones to it. You know me, I like to bling and sparkle. I think that's always so fun. So this sweatshirt is actually really old, like 30 years old, and it sat in a drawer waiting for me to embroider it for all these years. Like, and I didn't even do embroidery back then, but anyway, I pulled it out and did on that. But in my shop in Amazon, I found ones that are similar, or ones that I also have that have like a bright pink and zip ups. If you like zip ups, I'm wearing zip ups right now because of my surgery. But anyway, I do have a whole selection of shirts and sweaters and hoodies and things in my Amazon storefront that you can purchase. And when you do, it does help the shop. So whenever you're looking at, oh, I want to embroider a shirt, check out the ones that I've already embroidered on that I can tell you, oh yeah, this one worked really well, because I do have some that have not worked out great, and I did not obviously share those. So here is a direct link to my Amazon storefront. Click on that. It will take you to my storefront, and then there's a few different tabs. There's one for like all the things that I think are really, really necessary for our quilting projects that work really well. And then there's one just for shirts, for embroidery. And then there's also one for the products that I use to embroider on shirts, like stabilizers and the blue tape that I think is really important. That helps a lot. And the different fusible stabilizer and tearaway in the hoop. I swear by tearaway, I know. So anyway, all of those are in a tab in my Amazon storefront as well. So check it out when you're ready to get embroidering with our projects or with a shirt. And how are you doing with your goal? What is your goal? Tell me in the comments on YouTube. I love to hear about your goal. Some people are cleaning out their entire craft room. I love hearing that. Someone recently said that they cleaned out in a storage closet so that they could have more playtime because they could find their stuff easier. I love that. That's a great goal. That's always a really good one. Eating healthy. So I'm working on eating healthy, staying away from sugar, not eating after 9 o'clock. And getting exercise. Exercise is the big one that I'm working on. And since I'm still recovering from my surgery, I have another week and a half before I can have full access to the things that I was doing before. But I'm able to ride a bike now. I'm able to do hikes. But it's been really windy and cold, like crazy windy here. So I haven't gotten out too much. So I got my husband out last night. We went for a walk with the dogs. It was like less than a mile and a half, a little over a mile, if I recall. And that wasn't enough, especially at his pace. Like, come on, you got to get your heart rate up. So, right. So I got on my treadmill and I hiked with my friend Paulo, I don't know who he is, but he's not my friend, but I call him my friend. He's my favorite iFit trainer. So when I have a Nordic Track treadmill, and you can get a membership to iFit. And iFit, you get to go hike on beaches and in places that you've never been, and all these amazing things. And they give you little tips of like how to stay engaged in your workout plan and how to eat healthy and just different life experiences. And Paulo's my favorite. I think he's so great. So he took us to Colorado yesterday, and we're hiking in this beautiful area in Colorado. I think it might have been, Yosemite. I don't even remember now, but it was really, really pretty and just so nice to be able to hike and enjoy that, especially when it's windy and cold outside and I don't want to be out there too long. I've got this backup plan. So that's always really helpful. No excuses, right? I can't have an excuse of, oh, it's too cold or windy outside. I've got a treadmill, so I can always do something. So I did that last night. Short, it was like a half hour, got a little more than a mile and a half, I think. And I can't run yet. I'm not allowed to run yet. And so when he bumped it up for a little jog, I had to bump it down. But when he was doing a leisure walk, like recovering, I bumped it up. So I still got a really great workout. I really enjoyed that. I'll share a bunch of photos that I took of it's so cool because I've never even been there. And yet I got to feel like I was there because there's these beautiful ravines and just absolutely wonderful. So I really enjoyed that. So that's my plan, is working out, eating healthy, staying away from sugar. Oh my gosh, I wanted sugar bad yesterday. But I'm not doing it. So what are you doing for your goal? How is it going? I really want to hear about it.